What is up, sports bettors? Welcome to the Guys and Bets podcast. We are recording this on Monday, the 6th day of May. Of course, it will be dropped on Tuesday morning, the 7th day of May. Andrew Avery here with Chris Abbott, a.k.a. at Oddshark Chris on Twitter. Chris, how's it going, buddy?
It's going really good. I'm actually just trying to put in one last bet for today.
Tell me, what do you got?
Money line for the Milwaukee Brewers over Max Scherzer and the Washington Nationals. So when people listen to this, it will be the future.
Yes.
So they will know if I was right or wrong.
How did the weekend go? Did you bet anything for the Derby?
Well, I tweeted a few times. I know nothing about the Kentucky Derby or horse race or anything. So I literally looked at the start list and picked a few names that I thought were, I don't know, funny, cute, omens.
Yeah.
Especially, what was it, like Good Time Toddy something? Yeah. Toddy something. That wasn't Good Time. It was, anyway, there was Toddy in there. And he actually was a long shot, but finished in the top 4 or 5 for sure. But no. And then, you know what, though? I looked at that track, right? And I'm not a horse racing guy. I don't know. But that track was just mud.
Yeah,
and they've got those
terrible
frail little legs. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well. Like, I'm surprised none of the horses went down.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So what about you? I don't know anything about it.
I didn't bet anything. I didn't
win
Derby.
anything.
I didn't bet anything on the Derby. I didn't even watch it. I had some other things to do on Saturday. I did have a pretty good day betting on Saturday, and then the exact opposite on Sunday. Some terrible, terrible bets. I'll chalk them up to bad beats. Bad beats on Sunday. Not a good Sunday at all. So looking to rebound this week. Of course, we've got more NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs to talk about. I'm going to dig a little bit into the soccer betting board this week, specifically Champs League and Europa League. 4 games between Tuesday and Thursday. I want to talk to you about the latest in presidential odds, whatever is going on there. I know you cover it for the site here at Oddshark.
Yeah, buddy.
I want to talk a little bit about F1 at the bottom of the show. We'll get into a little Spanish Grand Prix. That's right.
Okay, we're just covering everything here.
A little bit of everything. But I want to start off with Game of Thrones, and basically because of what's sweeping the Twitter sphere here on a Monday is this Starbucks cup caught on camera. And I don't even know if it's Starbucks, to be honest.
I mean, it looks like Starbucks.
Looks like a Starbucks, but hilarious all the same. What's your reaction to that?
It's definitely worth the reaction that we're getting on Twitter today. I talked about it with Johnny on the show on Guys and Bets, noon Eastern every day. Cheap plug for our show.
Yeah.
To me, there's no way a production that big makes an error like that, leaving it's not like they're shooting an episode of The Office where it would just fit in, because there's no Starbucks in Westeros.
Yeah.
And if there is, it's not in Winterfell.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's Starbucks advertising.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I'm all in on that. Look at the buzz it creates on a Monday after the show, Monday morning. Everybody's been talking about it. Mm-hmm. There's memes that are being made now, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I agree. I think it's...
Does it tarnish the show? I say yes. But at the same time, in the last episode, they had like the former head of the CIA do a cameo.
Really?
Yeah. He knows one of the casting directors or something. And then, they had, what's his name? The ginger there. Ed Sheeran.
Oh, yeah, Ed Sheeran,
he was
that's
in
right.
there. So...
it reminds me of other famous flubs in movie or TV. Specifically, the first thing I thought of is Ben-Hur. You ever see Ben-Hur from 1959?
Not all the way through.
So during the chariot race scene... So there's 2 things in that movie. One, you can see a red sports car apparently in the background.
Why didn't they use that in the race?
They would have won by far.
Somebody's not
more
thinking.
horsepower.
Oh.
And another thing, you can see a watch. Somebody has a wrist. No, that's sorry. It's either that or it's a Game of Thrones movie that you can see a wristwatch and I think it was Gandalf that had a wristwatch
A
on.
Game of Thrones movie with
Sorry.
Gandalf. The nerds are going to crush you right now.
Sorry.
You've been booted out of geek culture.
My geek card has been rescinded. Not Game of Thrones, but Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
No, just kidding.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Well, you said Gandalf. I was like, no, I think you're wrong again. But
yeah, how I often wonder, especially when you take a show like Game of Thrones, where they're pretty meticulous, seemingly on the surface with every detail, and how does that get through? I don't think it's an accident. I think
exactly,
it's
and it was innocuous enough that it had nothing to do. It was just sitting on the table at a party.
Yeah.
I think it was marketing, and if it wasn't, it is the happiest accident in Starbucks history.
Right. Absolutely. So I got a couple other questions about Thrones here. So if you haven't seen the season, like me, you might want to take a break. I'll give you a second to pause. All right. So, Chris, in regards to Game of Thrones, of which I've not seen an episode yet, I want your thoughts on the current season, because another thing I see on Twitter, especially today, folks not happy with the previous episode, and some things I've seen this season as a whole. What's your take? Okay. 4 episodes in, I believe.
4 episodes, 2 episodes left. Okay. Here's my take. People on the internet, you should have to have a license to get a keyboard.
Yeah.
There should be a test.
Yeah.
If you're not an idiot, you get your keyboard.
Okay.
You know that old Jeff Foxworthy bit, like, here's your sign.
Yeah.
If you're stupid, people should have to have signs.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not an idiot, here's your keyboard.
The internet would be a barren landscape if that were the case.
Well, listen, there's lots of good things about Twitter, but there's
probably
more bad.
I agree.
Anyway, so what I would say to that is, I mean, cinematography, everything is just top notch. Like, you're basically getting a feature film every Sunday night.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the show Lost.
Dude.
Were you a big Lost guy? I was a
Huge Lost guy.
Okay, so there's a lot of comparisons coming out to that where there were so many storylines that they impossible to wrap them all up.
Right.
And I think that's also going to be the case in Game of Thrones. So everybody's not going to get a bow on every story.
Right.
But I think they're doing a good job. They've used 2 of the 4 episodes, maybe 3 of the 4 episodes to this point, to set up the following episode. I think they used 1 and 2 to set up 3.
Yeah.
They used 4 to set up 5 and 6, I think.
Right. Okay.
But overall, I think it's been really
You're
good.
enjoying it.
Absolutely, I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
I want to throw, there's obviously a lot of betting that can be done with Game of Thrones. It's actually become a pretty big market.
Mm-hmm, very.
So let me just throw these out at you. And again, if you've not seen the season, I'll let you pause here. We will timestamp the other segments of the podcast. So you can just click and find out what you want. But I'll put this one out here. Will Cersei Lannister perish? So the odds we have here are 5-1, does not perish at the series end, or episode 5 or 6, which are the last 2 remaining, minus 900.
That, yes, she will die, minus 900?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to die.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, not just because those are the odds. There's no way she doesn't die. There's too many people that want to see her dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who will kill Cersei Lannister? Jaime leads the board, plus 125. Arya Stark there, plus 160. Suicide, 6-1. Tyrion, 9-1. Sansa, 13-1, and so on. Any thoughts on this market?
Yeah. Is Daenerys riding a dragon an option? She might get torched. I don't really have a thought toward that. I think Jaime, maybe. But I don't know, because we saw late last night that Jaime's coming back home to try and protect her again. I think at least try and keep her alive. Yeah, I could see Tyrion killing her. It would be a tragic ending, having to kill his sister. But I could see that happening.
Now there's head-to-head parish markets here, and the first one here is Gilly versus Hot Pie. Who will perish first? Now my first question to you is, who is Hot Pie?
I love me a death pool. This is Hot Pie's the one I'm not sure of. I think there was one episode where there was a bunch of people who met in a tavern in the woods on Arya's travels, and I believe it stemmed from that episode.
This dude. I just Googled him.
Is that who it is?
It's, I'll just show you.
Oh, I got Google myself.
Oh, you know how to use Google?
Oh yeah, so that's the one. That's the one. Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's what I was thinking about. Gilly in last night's episode went off with Sam. Basically, it seemed like they wrote them both out of the show. So I think you'd probably get a push there. I don't think either of them are going to die.
Okay, interesting. Good advice. What about Bran versus Jon Snow? -120 apiece.
I don't see the point. Like Bran's probably going to live because I think he's this omnipotent character.
Yeah.
I think that Jon. I've been saying all season that Jon's going to die, but we're seeing his character take a little bit of a turn. But I am going to say Jon would die before Bran.
Okay. And the last one I'll throw out to you here. Who will rule Westeros at the end of season 8?
Man, this is a tough one. And as you know, I've been on this beat for about 18 months now.
Yep.
I bet on Sansa myself, and I still think that's pretty good. I got her a plus 500 at the time. Not sure what the exact odds are right now. But
Sansa's plus 275.
yeah, so I got some value there. And I also took a long shot at Cersei, but it certainly looks like she's going to die. I think I got her a plus 2,500. Gendry is one that people were all about a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And we never really understood why. But last night in episode 4, we kind of saw his character get some recognition from Daenerys. Daenerys kind of foreshadowed that the Baratheons had killed all the Lannisters before. It was just found out that he was a Baratheon. So that's part one of that. And then also there's speculation that he might actually be Cersei's son. And then last night, Tyrion also foreshadowed the only thing that matters to Cersei is the health of her children. So I could see some sort of Gendry as a Baratheon killing the Lannisters and then eventually becoming yet another one of Cersei's children to sit on the throne. So that's a hot take right there.
Very hot take, and a show I certainly need to catch up on. And last thing I want to ask you about TV, what would be your Mount Rushmore of TV shows? Who's on your Mount Rushmore of television?
Wow. Wow. Are cartoons exempt? Is it all
You can throw anything you want to.
like I think Family Guy is brilliant.
Okay.
I haven't watched the last couple of seasons, but Family Guy is one of the shows that makes me like laugh out loud from my belly.
Yep.
Obviously, Sopranos is very well done.
Yep.
I have not seen The Wire. I'm told it's until Game of Thrones was the best TV series ever made.
Yep.
What do I get? One more?
One more.
So I haven't seen The Wire, so I can't really say. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, this is tough. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. You know what show I really liked that I don't think got a lot of play? And it's probably not like all time, but The Americans.
Americans is criminally underrated.
Oh, what a good show.
Yeah.
What a good. I mean, it may have dragged a little bit, but what show doesn't? Near the end.
Lost.
See,
So
Lost is one of my favorites. I've watched it like 3 times.
I think the first 3 seasons of Lost are as good a television as you can make for a network where you're sort of confined by subject matter and dialogue, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think I know we're not a TV podcast, but I think that that ending scene with Not Penny's boat with Charlie, like they could have wrapped the whole thing up, but somebody said this is
It's making too much money.
We got to go. Got to keep
Advertisers
going.
are paying to run ads during this. So you guys need to whip something up. And then the creative team is like, wait, what?
Yeah.
We only planned for X amount of seasons. But anyway, so mine, I'm going to go Breaking Bad, The Wire, The Sopranos, and probably Curb Your Enthusiasm would be my 4th.
Yeah, see, I've never watched. See, now I feel stupid having Family Guy on that list.
Nothing wrong with Family Guy.
It's
funny television.
Seinfeld was great in its time. Like I was more of a comedy guy for a long time.
Sure.
You know what? Like there's other ones. Like I liked Entourage for what it was.
Yes, Entourage was a good
I
one.
thought it was cutting edge.
It was.
A lot of the stuff HBO has done is ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And Westworld. I love Westworld.
I still haven't seen season 2, but I
love
absolutely loved season 1.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I'm very behind on my
we have
TV.
a lot of sports to watch.
Have a lot of sports to watch. Have a lot of sports to cover. So let's get into some basketball here. And as I stated off the top here, we're recording this on a Monday. So tonight we got Bucks Celtics game 4. We got Warriors Rockets game 4. Bucks and Warriors up 2-1 in those series. So a lot can change here after these games tonight. But as we sit here today, here's what series price markets look like. Bucks minus 600, Celtics 4-1. I know on the Guys and Bets program, which you can check out on our YouTube channel at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. Make sure you all subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's much more than just Guys and Bets on there. I know you've got the Bucks winning tonight. I kind of like that play a lot myself. I think they're a much better team than what they've shown in that game one when they lost. Any reason anybody should take the Celtics at 4-1?
Not that I know.
Yeah.
Not that I know. Kyrie Irving would have to go off, and his supporting cast would have to step up, and I don't think they've been as present. I think the Celtics are having to use a ton of energy defending, and I think it's catching up to them.
And then Warriors can take a 3-1 lead tonight, or Rockets can even it up. And there the Rockets are sitting at plus 315, so better odds on the Rockets than the Celtics. And the Warriors are minus 430. I think this is just a formality here. I think the Warriors are going to win the whole thing. Look, if the Rockets win tonight, then let's talk. But we'll see in a post-Monday world. And then in the East, the Raps even things up yesterday on Sunday. They are now minus 260. Sixers plus 215. Do you reckon there's any value there on betting the Sixers at just around 2-1?
We sat here a week ago and you told me this series was over.
I know I did. And then the Sixers went and promptly won games 2 and 3, making me look like an ass.
I don't know. I think you're obviously going to have to. You're only looking at the underdog spot here, and I think Philly's in pretty good shape going into Game 5 in Toronto. I think the Raptors had to rely. They only played 6 guys in Game 4. Is that right?
Is that true?
Something like that.
I got to look that up.
Like maybe
that
7.
Is insane.
They ran the horses out there, and when you've got guys like Marc Gasol, Kawhi Leonard, who are getting on in years, for them to turn around in a travel day in the middle, I think that does bode well for Philadelphia heading into Game 5.
So Siakam, Leonard, Gasol, Lowry, Danny Green, the starting 5, all logged big minutes. Ibaka had 32 off the bench.
Yeah.
McCaw had 5. Freddie VanVleet had 7. Norm Powell had 4.
Right.
So, yeah, they basically ran 6 players out there in Game 4. What do you reckon is the future of Kawhi Leonard?
Oh, he's gone.
As good as gone at this point.
Yes, my God.
Does it matter?
Yes.
Does it matter if they win this series?
Doesn't matter.
Does it matter if they reach the final?
Doesn't matter.
He's done.
Doesn't matter. Kawhi doesn't care. He doesn't want to be in Toronto. He's going to go out and play, and he's going to go get a contract, and he's going to move back to California.
Yeah, I think he's going to the Clippers myself.
Well, yeah, there's speculation for both, but I mean, he's just upping his value right now. Not that he really needed to.
He is playing his butt off in this series.
To me, there's nothing the Raptors can do to keep him.
Yeah.
And
Sadly, I agree.
I think that's why, looking back, they got him for such a relatively cheap price. And Danny Green. Like, that trade is now DeMar DeRozan for Danny Green. And who they sent? No, they sent another guy to San Antonio.
Pirtle. Jacob Pirtle.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think Danny Green's going to potentially be a long-term Raptor.
Sure.
And I like him.
Sure.
But now the Raptors will have to go out in free agency, and I don't see anything they can do to keep him there.
Is Toronto nowadays, is it a destination for big-name free agents? Doesn't have to be a super-duper star, but a big-name free agent. Is Toronto now a desirable market?
I think the deeper they go, the more years they go there, guys know that it's a good fan base and it's a fun place to play. But they're also getting taxed in Canada.
Yeah.
That's a huge consideration for professional athletes.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
You got to go through customs every time you go out to a road game.
Yep.
I'm sure they get a little expedited, but still.
Yeah.
Right? I think for as long as that happens, it's going to be a tough sell, especially with the Canadian dollar now, I think, is as low as it's been in a few years.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure that those guys probably get paid in U.S. dollars, but they get taxed for living and working in Canada.
Yeah.
As opposed to California, where I think there's a minimal state income tax.
Florida, there's none.
Texas,
there's none.
Yeah. That matters.
It
folks.
does matter.
Especially
it would matter to me.
Yeah. So imagine what it means to those guys who are
Absolutely.
making exponential amounts of money.
Absolutely.
To me, that matters. That's a huge, huge issue.
And then the last series I mentioned here, I leave it to the end for a reason, is because it's potentially the one that could maybe go 7 games, and it's the Blazers Nuggets, and it's knotted at 2 with Game 5 tomorrow in Denver.
Game 5
In Denver.
I'm not even. I got to be honest. I haven't been following that series all that closely, mostly because I've pretty much sworn off the NBA betting wise.
It's tough.
I keep losing. Like tonight, I'm on the Bucks. So congratulations, Boston. You just tied the series. You know.
So Portland's there at plus 120, Nuggets minus 140. Any thoughts here?
No.
Although Joe Osborne has that Blazers first quarter thing going on, and that cashed again over the weekend. He played that one on Guys and Bets on the Friday show when he was sitting in the hot seat for you.
I think, this might be a series, and maybe it's the strategy for the rest of the way in the NBA is to do some in-game betting, see if you can find a spot.
Yeah, sure.
Because I don't know a sport where the marquee players may or may not show up every night.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because it's only 5 or 6 guys per team, so if one guy is off, there's not a lot of guys to pick up the slack. If one guy is off on an MLB team, barring it not be the starting pitcher, you're okay. If one guy's off on an NFL team, barring it's not your starting quarterback, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's an attitude thing, a generational thing, but to me, like guys don't always come to play in the NBA, even in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's weird.
So it
isn't it?
makes it hard to bet on.
It totally does.
So if you turn on a game and you can see, oh, this guy's locked in tonight. All right.
Right.
Now I'll make my play.
Right. That's a good point. Because, yeah, we've got Joel Embiid, illness in Game 4, not related to what he was supposedly going to be sidelined with earlier on in the series, apparently texting Brett Brown at 6 a.m. saying, I got diarrhea. Like,
Yeah. What is it? Does he have his first job and he's trying to call in sick?
I don't know.
What the hell?
I don't know. So here we have the Nuggets and the Blazers. Denver won Game 4, 116-112. Jokic, who is probably my favorite player in the league to watch. Triple-double, 21, 12, and 11. Jamal Murray, 34 points on 10 of 20 from the floor, 11 for 11 from the stripe. Denver is an interesting team. I don't think anybody... this is all irrelevant talk because nobody's beating the Warriors anyway. But if Jamal Murray is cooking, then... And here we have another instance where a star player, if he shows up, they're in it. If not, then it could be a long night for Nuggets bettors. But Jamal Murray fits that mold. He goes hot and cold. Any thoughts on those series price markets here? With this going back to Denver, I don't know. It sort of makes minus 140 feel okay, but why not just bet the Nuggets spreads game to game?
Yeah, I just play the games. Not, well, there's no value minus 140. So if you think they're going to win, just take them to win.
Yeah. And then over in hockey, which has been crazy and potentially a ratings nightmare in the East if it ends up being Carolina and Columbus, which would just be hilarious. But we've got 2 more games tonight, which is Jackets, Bruins, Avs, Sharks. Both of those can end. So the only one that matters is Game 7 over in St. Louis, between St. Louis and Dallas. What are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting because I thought that Dallas was going to win Game 6 based on the way they handled the Blues relatively easily in Games 4 and 5. Mm-hmm. I thought they looked like the better team all over the ice, and then of course St. Louis comes out and dominates yesterday. So I don't know. What, Game 7 back in St. Louis? It's coin flip, I guess, but I don't have really a feel on that one way or the other.
Well,
if the total's 5, I might play the over.
What's easier for you to bet, basketball or hockey?
Oh, hockey. Yeah. Now, that's just because on a personal level, I know the sport and I know the players better. Mm-hmm. Like I'll freely admit that. I know the NHL better than the NBA.
Yeah.
But also the spreads, right? The spreads can be tough. There's more points in a basketball game. It's just really the math. So if I was picking money lines in basketball, I'm sure I'd do pretty well.
Right.
But the spread leaves so much out there.
Yeah.
Whereas hockey, it's generally a money line play, a winner and loser with 5, 6, 7 goals scored the whole game.
Yeah.
As opposed to 200 points. So I think math just makes it easier too.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I find both NHL and NBA to be the most difficult by far of the 4 major sports in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey, there's just seems to be a bit more luck involved in the mix. A bad bounce off a skate in front of the net, et cetera. Whatever, dumb penalties. And then in the NBA, like you pointed out, superstars just taking a game off, or horrible officiating impacting the game, which we've seen ad nauseum down the years in basketball. I just find those 2 sports a bit more tough than NFL or college football and Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it's interesting. I find college basketball way easier than the NBA.
Sure.
At least more reliable. And I think that's to the point. You've got guys pretty much every night giving everything they've got.
Yeah.
The refereeing in the NBA, I don't know what's a foul. Like if you go into the key
Nobody
and
does.
somebody touches you, is it a foul? It's an offensive foul.
It's ridiculous.
So there's that human element that makes it really tough to handicap.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go in and see who's refereeing and see how many fouls they call on average.
For sure.
But that still doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I find the NBA very, very difficult.
Yeah,
I do. And you got to wonder sometimes. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you got to wonder sometimes, like what happened at the end of the Warriors-Rockets game the other night? The spread was still in play. Not that these guys play for the spread. The game was still within reach, and there's like a 5-point game, and Curry misses the dunk.
Right.
And there's probably 25 seconds left.
Yeah.
And they stop playing.
Yeah.
Let them dribble it out. It's not a regular season game in November.
Yeah. I know.
Maybe they're that confident that whatever one lost another home game, but I don't know, man. I don't know. That's why I've been staying away from the NBA.
Yeah.
Now, I don't pick'ems.
Sure.
I'm okay with. Like tonight, I could be wrong, but the Bucks are like a +1.5 underdog, so I like them. I like them to win the game.
Yeah.
But regular season -8.
Thanks.
I don't know who's gonna hit or miss a 3 at the buzzer. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's tough. I've largely stayed away from the NBA playoffs. I might get involved in the semis, but might even wait till the finals. I don't know.
NBA, I'm more on the totals.
Are you?
I like totals better than the spread. Yeah, unless it's something that you really, really see the value there.
One thing that I bet frequently, though, is soccer. And this week, we've got second legs in Champions League and Europa League. And I know you're not a soccer bettor here, Chris, so I'm going to drive the bus a little bit.
You go for it. All I know about soccer is that I owned FIFA World Cup 98 for PlayStation 2, and I played the hell out of that disc.
Is that the last FIFA you've played?
No.
Okay.
No. But it was the one I played the most. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've been playing FIFA for years. But so you must know Lionel Messi is quite good at this sport.
That much I know, yeah.
And he it's doing a bit of a disservice to Barcelona to say he single-handedly beat the pants off of Liverpool in the first leg, but he put in one of those epic Messi performances, getting that 3-0 win at home, and now second leg tomorrow, Tuesday, today, of course, when you're listening, at Anfield. Liverpool +150, Barca +175, draw +270. We know Liverpool is going to be without Mo Salah. We know they're going to be without Roberto Firmino, so there's 2 of their attacking trio gone. So that probably leaves, if Klopp doesn't mess with the formation, some form of Sadio Mane, Daniel Sturridge, Divock Origi. Barcelona doesn't need anything from this game. They put up 3. Liverpool is probably not going to score 3 here. I expect Barcelona to park a bus, though they wouldn't be remiss if they went ahead and got an away goal just to put the final nail in Liverpool's coffin here. So Barcelona plus 175, looking pretty good, especially with some tweets that I saw speculating the status of their best defender and Premier League Player of the Year, Virgil van Dijk, which would be massive and make plus 175 an absolute gift.
Do people call him VVD?
I think they do, yeah.
I would.
I think they do. And one of my big things when it comes to soccer is that it's very important to wait for the starting lineups to be announced. Now, starting lineups are made public generally about an hour before kickoff. If Barcelona comes with the same 11 as they did in the first leg, you've got to take Barcelona here. Now, I say this with a caveat that they don't really need a goal, but getting an away goal would certainly end this and would punch their ticket to the Champions League final. Plus 175 is looking mighty, mighty good there. And then on Wednesday, and I can't cap this game without an ounce of bias, but we've got Ajax and Tottenham in Amsterdam for the second leg. Spurs down 1-0 after Ajax won in London with no Son Heung-min. He will be back for this one for Tottenham. Ajax plus 110, Tottenham plus 235, draw plus 270. The spread has Ajax half a goal plus 110, Spurs minus 130 as the half goal dog. I kind of like Tottenham in this game. I would love, there's been rumors about Harry Kane maybe coming back into the mix here. Again, if Kane is in there, this is just something you have to hammer. Ajax has played their best football in Champions League away from home. They already got the away win. Tottenham has to gun for a goal here. I kind of like Spurs at plus 235. So I'm on road dogs on both. Do I advise you to go bet multiple units on this? No. If you want some action for the afternoons here on Tuesday and Wednesday, make things exciting for yourself, give it a whirl. Plus 175, plus 235. Not looking too bad. I also think I like the under 3 in that Liverpool-Barcelona game. At 3 goals there. Juice is minus 120 on that. And then Thursday, of course, we have the Europa League, the second legs there, involving a couple more English teams. And we'll start with Chelsea and Frankfurt. This one's back in London at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea minus 250, Frankfurt plus 650, draw plus 395. I'm not looking to play anything here. Frankfurt, although they had mostly rotated side in the Bundesliga on the weekend, got absolutely thrashed 6-1 by Bayer Leverkusen. I think every goal was in the first half. I jumped on minus 3.5 at plus 230. My only win on Sunday. I promptly lost those winnings on other games. Thanks,
That's
Roma.
the whole point.
I bet Roma spread minus 1 in Serie A, of which, folks, I've had such a terrible go at Serie A this year. Bundesliga, knocking it out of the park. If you don't know, I post a column every Friday on Oddshark with 3 picks throughout the continent. My Bundesliga picks in this column have been on fire. I hit Wolfsburg minus 1 on Saturday. So I win this Leverkusen bet and then roll that over onto Roma minus 1. Looking like a push. Extra time. They get a freaking goal. Nice job, Italy. Can't stand it. So Chelsea, Frankfurt, not really looking for anything there. I think Chelsea just sits back. That's a stay away for me. But the game in Spain, Valencia, Arsenal. Arsenal up 3-1, but Valencia did get that away goal. I like the Valencia money line here, minus 120. Gunners coming back at plus 290. Draw plus 290 as well. Valencia minus 120 is looking mighty, mighty good, if you ask me. We know that Arsenal can't get any points away from home. Minus 120, yeah, give me some of that. I know they're gunning for Champions League. This is their only way in.
Was that a pun right there?
It was unintentional, but that's a great pickup by you.
Thank you. I'm paying attention.
Someone who hasn't paid attention since World Cup 98. That's pretty good. But Valencia, of the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games there in Europe, Valencia minus 120. Oh, baby.
I'll have you know France hosts a hell of a World Cup.
That's true. They do.
And I had, I believe, a young Paul Scholes defending.
The ginger genius.
Yes. And Oh boy, I can't remember a whole lot of the names. Who's the guy that wore the helmet there in net?
Peter Cech.
Yes, yeah. Now he was around for a while. I don't even.
He's been around forever.
I don't think he was in '98 World Cup. No,
I doubt it.
there's somebody else
20
I'm
years
thinking
ago that had a bucket.
Maybe not.
I can't remember.
Who was the
back in
German
the day.
goalie?
Oliver
back in the
Kahn, probably. Jens Lehmann, maybe.
I can't
remember either.
But man, I played that game so much. It had the cut scenes and stuff. PS2.
Yeah.
Damn, it was good. I'm sure FIFA 2019 is pretty good. Too.
I'm a huge FIFA guy. We get FIFA games going frequently here at Odd Shark headquarters. And a couple things I just want to touch on before we sign off here. One of your beats here from a writing perspective, Chris, is over in politics. And much like Game of Thrones, a lot of our high traffic articles on Oddshark is around politics. And I remember for the 2016 election, Trump pages were just killing it for us, doing a great job. So you cover this, you're updating these pages, pretty regularly, whenever news breaks, I would say, for the most part. And one thing that jumped out at me here, U.S. presidential election 2020 winning party here. The Democrats minus 125, the Republicans minus 105. Is that not a gift for the Republicans?
I mean, you'd have to think. I'm pretty much apolitical, so I just kind of sit back and watch, right?
But look down the years. Who was the last president that didn't serve 2 years?
Bush Sr.
Bush Sr.
2 terms.
And then before that would have been Jimmy Carter, maybe?
I believe so, yeah.
Minus 105? I don't know. It looks like pretty good money to me.
It does. I mean, I think a big thing right now, and I don't know if any of you watched Saturday Night Live this past weekend, but they really broke it down in a really interesting but damning way for the Democratic Party. Talked about some young Democrats that have their names in the running. Talked about some female Democrats that have their names in the running, and basically said, but all you guys have to wait because there's 2 more 70-year-old white men who are going to be at the top, and Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders.
So, yeah, okay.
So the only thing that changes is everything stays the same, something like that.
So that was going to be my next question is around the Democratic candidate. And Joe Biden, plus 275. Sleepy Joe, as President Trump likes to refer to him.
Touchy Joe is the other problem. He's got a touching thing.
Apparently, likes a hug.
So he's got that, and then Bernie Sanders was accused of inappropriate, I don't know if touching or gestures or words or what have you with a staffer in his last campaign.
Interesting. So
here's the interesting point with this, and this is why Trump probably wins again, or at least a contributing factor. The only voters who care about that kind of stuff, the hugging, the touching, are what you're going to call kind of left-wing people, right? I'm not saying that there's Republicans that don't think that sexual assault or harassment is wrong, but what I'm saying is the Republican voting base clearly seen through a lot of that in electing the current president, and I think that is a factor there. But I just don't know. I mean, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. Some of the things that this current president has done in terms of, I don't know, his foreign policy, his stances on some crises that have happened in his time. Now, every president has been kind of taken to task for their stance on various crises.
Sure.
But I think it's fair to say that everything is a new day when it comes to Donald Trump in terms of how the presidency has been traditionally held. So it remains to be seen, I think, whether the voters are going to go for another 4 years of that or if they want to switch back to a more traditional style of candidate. The odds say right now that Donald Trump is the favorite to be the president, but as you said, the odds say the Democratic Party is going to win.
Yeah.
So Republicans are pretty much even money. Right now, to me, that's a good bet.
I like it. And then Democratic candidate odds: Biden plus 275, Bernie 3-1, Pete
Buttigieg? Yeah.
Plus 450, Kamala Harris. I think Joe Biden's a lock for that.
I think Joe Biden is a lock for it.
Plus 275.
Yeah, I think he is a lock. I think people will be feeling the burn again,
Yeah.
right? But that might have ran its course. And, from a strictly political strategy scenario here, it would seem that the Democrats have spent all their time trying to get Donald Trump out of office and not finding themselves a reliable candidate to take his place.
Right.
And I think I would be betting Republican right now.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people, well, probably 50% or whatever the popular vote was, don't want to hear. But show me an alternative that is going to win the Electoral College, and who's going. Are Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden? Because if you're going to beat Trump, you got to get down with him and fight the way he does.
Yeah.
And do it better than him.
Right. But nobody does.
I mean, nobody wants to. Would you want to?
No, of course not. But I mean, Trump's whole campaign sort of changed the game to a little degree. And the Democrats didn't have the right candidates out there in 2016.
It doesn't look like they're going to in 2020.
And it doesn't look like they're going to. Joe Biden, I think he gets the nod from the Democratic candidate list, which has become an extensive one over the past few weeks. But I don't think. I think it's going to be a Trump White House again come 2020. And sitting there at plus 120. So Biden to win the Democratic nominee, Trump to win presidency, and Republicans to take the White House.
So here's the way I look at it. When you've got all the Democratic nominees, so Trump is going to run for the Republicans, barring, whether he gets arrested or something like that, if something crazy happens. But Joe Biden doesn't have any designs on a political future beyond this presidential run. All the rest of these potential candidates do. So if they want to get into the mudslinging contest with Trump and they lose, they're probably really, really hurt from it, career-wise.
Yeah.
Biden can do what he wants
Yep.
and say what he wants and win or lose.
Right.
So I think that's maybe why he becomes their candidate,
Yeah. It's a good point.
And he's got the attitude to kind of shoot from the hip.
Last thing we'll mention here, again, one of your beats. It used to be my beat here at Odd Shark, but Formula One. And of course, Formula One seeing a bit of a spike in popularity with the help of the Netflix series, which was incredibly well done. I was talking to people at a party on Friday, and all they wanted to talk about was Formula One now. Seems to be back in, especially over here, it's always going to be big in Europe. But it seems to be hitting its stride. But one thing that has been a bit disappointing for me as a fan is seeing Mercedes dominate again through 4 races, 1-2 finishes. Each race here, and we've got the Spanish Grand Prix coming up this weekend. Lewis Hamilton plus 130, Valtteri Bottas. So there's your 2 Merc drivers right there. Bottas 2-1. I think Bottas won the last race.
Yeah, I think they've won 2 each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bottas has the lead, I believe, because there's points now for fastest lap. I think he had fastest lap in the first race, so he's got the advantage there over Hamilton, his teammate, by 1 point. Vettel of Ferrari at 4-1. Charles Leclerc plus 450. Max Verstappen 16-1 at Red Bull. He's sort of had some decent races so far, but I think that Red Bull's still a bit slower than the Merc. But if anyone's going to do any damage, it's going to be Max Verstappen, sort of a fearless driver. And then a bunch of the field, like Gasly is 150-1. Sainz, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, just almost out of contention here. Any thoughts on the Spanish Grand Prix? And do we just keep betting Mercedes drivers until proven otherwise?
Yes, that's what I was going to say, and that's what I'm going to do. There's no combination podium finish. Those guys, money.
Might as well, right?
Right. Yeah. And so that's the difficulty with F1 is that you got to try and find other ways to make it. I've been, and I feel bad for him, but Daniel Ricciardo, I've been betting on him not to finish races.
Yeah, and getting paid from it because him and that Renault just can't seem to get it done. When I was doing the column and betting a bit more heavily on Formula One, my favorite race prop was 2 drivers from the same team to get finish in the top 10.
Yep.
And at that point, it was the Force India guys. It was It was Ocon and it was Checo Perez to finish top 10. And I was getting paid pretty good from those races. And like they were sort of the middle of the pack where, let's be honest, that's where the real racing is with Mercedes dominating these things, especially this season, let alone the past few seasons, which has seen Hamilton win and former teammate Nico Rosberg. So if you can get your hands on Team X to finish in the top 10. So, you know, if you wanted to take a shot on Renault, that would be Ricciardo. And Nico Hülkenberg to finish in the top 10. Some money to be made there, but like Chris and I were saying, the money right now is just following Mercedes.
Yeah.
Hamilton plus 130 right now, Bottas 2-1, pretty good. And don't let practice and qualifying fool you. Ferrari's had some great runs, but it's strategy that's letting them down on race day. They have a new team principal there, and it's just not going right so far. We know Vettel has the talent. Leclerc's a bit of a wild card. He came in as the young guy that took Kimi Räikkönen's seat. Had some nice races, but team strategy has let them down. With Mercedes drivers at plus money, plus 130 for Lewis Hamilton, 2-1 for Bottas, who just won in Azerbaijan.
One of them are going to win.
One of them is going to win. If you bet both, you're on top.
Yeah. I can't argue with you, and it's kind of disappointing from a fan
very
perspective.
It totally is. But that's why the racing is in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Going for 5 through 10.
But has it always? It's not always been. There's only one of three guys who are going to win this race.
There's been legit rivalries.
You know?
But it's economics as well. The teams that have the money are Mercedes and Ferrari, to a lesser extent Red Bull. Mercedes under Toto Wolff, and with these two drivers, they're just head and shoulders above the rest. So find yourself some fun betting opportunities for middle of the pack kind of stuff, and you've got a good race day because the way it's going now through 4 races, it's just Hamilton and it's Bottas.
Yeah.
And from a fan perspective, it's kind of crappy.
Yeah,
excuse me.
Valtteri Bottas was coming on at the end of last season, and looks like he's caught up. It'll be interesting to see how Mercedes handle this because it was always a number 1, number 2 driver situation.
Yeah.
And how long can they ask him to ride shotgun? They've handled it well so far.
Right. Well, he was the perfect guy to bring in because Hamilton and Rosberg that last season, there was a huge just butting heads throughout the season, as you do. These guys are egomaniacs, which you have to have in the sport, or you might as well not have a seat. So they bring in Bottas from Williams, an underwhelming team, a team that has just spiraled downward for years, having glory days long behind them. Bottas is quiet. He takes the seat. He lets Hamilton do his thing. But now Bottas is starting to win, and he's starting to assert himself as a dominant driver.
Yeah.
Is he going to take a back seat like Chris said? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's going to push for a title. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Until the first time that they crash each other coming down the final straight and the team gets no points.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. You see it in that Netflix series. Verstappen and Ricciardo over at Red Bull were doing it constantly. And the Force India guys, Ocon and Checo Perez.
Yeah.
It happens. These guys are there to win. And it's tough to swallow when you're number 2 on a team. Anyway, that's enough for the podcast for today. A reminder, subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Guys and Bets, noon Eastern, every day, Monday through Friday, to get picks and tips from Johnny Oddshark and Chris Abbott. You will want to start your day, however, watching Nick Costos on the Morning Cash Out. That's 9 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. That's on Periscope. So head over to @Oddshark on Twitter for that. For Chris Abbott, @Chris Oddshark on Twitter. My name's Andrew, @Chalk_Ninja on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We will check you next week. We're going to try and crank these out, record them on Monday and a day, and then release them to the public on Tuesday. Thanks for listening. Check you next week.